Wax, nahihiya ka daw kay Andre.
Mahirap na pag may bigote na pagkakamalang rapist.
Governor naman, governor. Ay. Pero mukha kang bata ha, bumata ka. Pampabata yan. Oh, nag-agree si Candy. Ay. Sige na, handa na ako. Baka magkukunwarihan naman ako may alam dito. Oh my God.
Hala, Wax. Candy, bakit naman pati Enron? Ginawa niyo na lahat? Oo. Wax. Wax, i-on mo daw yung camera mo, sabi ni Ivana. Wax, yung ano mo daw, video mo daw. Wax. 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 Wax.
Okay, so good morning. So we're all casual except probably a few. Unlike last week. Ako lang pala yan. Just me. Okay, so today we have a busy agenda. So we'll recap last session and then we'll continue remember I gave you an assignment that you submitted. I'll ask the teams to present. And then we'll tackle Brainard. And then we'll talk about a little bit about permits and licenses, how important it is for operations locally and abroad, how governments restrict trade or encourage protectionism by tweaking permits and licenses. And then uh, if we have time, we'll talk about troubled Spain, no? Which was one of the assigned readings for today's session. So we have a makeup class on Tuesday. No? Okay, just right after the elections. Okay, so who wants to start with recapping last session? Yes, Mir.
Remember the different business formations. We also
Organization types.
organization types. We also discussed briefly the article about the Roman times, medieval,
Mhm.
yeah, just for us to know how it was.
Mhm.
And then we discussed the organization types, the differences among them, and depending on the situation, what kind of business you will create.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I
And we discussed also taxation, how these organizations are
different.
taxed.
Yes.
Is it pass through or um, they're taxed individually as well as an entity?
Yes.
Okay. Who else? Yes, Zini. You're,
Prof, we also discussed the different regulations that govern every type of organization and when it will be beneficial to form one, the advantages and disadvantages.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Mir. You wanted to add?
So that one, the advantages and disadvantages and the liabilities that come with every form of organization.
Okay. Yes, Zini.
I just remembered. We also discussed the importance of doing pestle analysis
Yes.
or evaluating the different types of risks
Yeah.
in forming organizations.
Yeah.
Prof.
And it goes both ways, right? When you analyze, when you do PESEL, you also you get a glimpse also of opportunities, right? So there's risks, but you also need to look out for what are the opportunities here because it can make or break your business. Anybody else? Going once, twice. Okay, so probably we'll start with the presentations of the assignments last session. So we have 3 LTs. Who wants to go first, or do we go chronological? LT1, 2, and 3 first. Okay? Okay, LT1 first. I'll unshare.
Yeah, Prof, we're just asking Ivana to share.
Sorry?
We're just asking Ivana to share.
Okay.
Good morning. So
Morning.
LT1 is assigned a Singapore e-commerce company. And we named our company coined by Shruti as Cashmetics Holdings Inc. You want to open the Acrobat? The one. So these are the maybe my teammates can help, but initially we did we did the components of AOI, or in Singapore we learned it's called Memorandum and Articles of Association. We're lucky to have Jamie in our team who shared their company, who is incorporated in Singapore.
Okay.
It's slightly different industry, but we kind of use it as
Right.
guide. That's why we have the details in the Acrobat. And then
There's an
muting
echo.
myself. Hello. Okay, naman. And then we can open, Ivana, can you open double click the Adobe Acrobat? But anyway, here are the maybe Jamie can and do the AOI, and then eventually later we'll discuss the bylaws.
Ivana, can you open the Adobe Acrobat document? Hindi.
Sige lang, maybe we can open it later. Let's go back to it later unless you wanted to, or
The-
you guys ano na lang share and then
Yeah, okay. So these are the major points. Ivana, if you can accept me in Zoom so I can share. So it has to have the company name, the registered office address, business activities, which is kind of the same as ours. And then share capital. It should have certain details, type, count, shareholder information, directors information.
what did you pick as the important business activities
So we
aside from the manufacturing of
yeah.
it's in the
But if
AOI.
I can share, if I can be accepted in Zoom, I can share the document. Huh? I'm not accepted in Zoom, so I can. Different link. Okay. There you go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Hi, good morning again, bro,
Morning.
and classmates. Hi, so we named to the best of our abilities, we have we found a template on how to register in a company in Singapore. So we named our company Cashmetics Holdings Incorporated. And there's the address, our company address, and our initial capital is at around 900,000 Singaporean dollars. Our purpose are, can you show the purpose first before I go there? Lower. And there you go. So the business activities of our corporation are to acquire, consolidate, distribute cosmetic products globally by providing a leading e-commerce platform that makes online shopping easy, secure, and enjoyable for consumers. So this definition falls within the industry classification we found in Singapore to be an e-commerce platform distributor. And we also provided for a secondary purpose to distribute, ah, provide market leader. Uh, to promote sustainability, integrate sustainability within our business. And then after can you go back up? So, okay. We only issued one class of share, which is the ordinary share. Here in our jurisdiction, it's called common share. And the qualities or properties of the share are one voting right per ordinary share, and its par value is 1 Singaporean dollar per ordinary share. We have also huh, is this the okay. We have also incorporated the rights. Hmm. Uh, can you- saan yan? Nasaan yung document na yan? I'm sorry. We're sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Is this, how come it's not the one showing there? Yeah. We're showing the wrong one. Not a different one.
We had multiple iterations.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
You know,
It's okay.
Adrian and Jeannie are kind of perfectionists. So we had version. So I'll show you version 205. I grounded it. Yeah, so I'll share you version 205. Okay.
Okay, so,
Okay na, sir.
opo, doon tayo sa characteristics of the shares, please. Yan. Classes of shares, yeah. Okay, so our common share or the ordinary share, the characteristics of our ordinary shares have a right to vote and be voted upon in the election of directors. And each ordinary share shall have one voting right. Additionally, each shareholder shall have the right to receive dividends as may be declared from time to time by the board of directors in proportion to their ownership. And each shareholder of ordinary share shall have appraisal and preemptive right. Okay, so here are the names of the incorporators. So that's us, that's 5. We have a lot of money. And our occupations are all investors. And we have elected Janie to be our chairman of the board and president because she knows Singapore laws. And we have a corporate secretary and a corporate treasurer. So, based on our research, these are the 3 required basic officers in a corporation in the Singapore jurisdiction. What else? Ayan. Huh? So that's it. That's the basic
Okay.
composition po, Prof.
Okay. Comments from the class? Anything that... Sorry, Mir? Mike?
I learned a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
Prof,
Yes, Jamie.
Yeah, actually, I have something need to share with more. SF the class is really intent to open a company in Singapore. So for the purpose of the business activity, actually, according to the Singapore policies, they have a standards code for each industry. So actually, you no need to describe this detailedly. You just choose the code as the
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
industry that you want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Did you follow the description? I mean, did you choose the number and then just put it there, or did you guys draft this?
I share the list with the team, and then we also see. Yeah.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
the list is so long.
Yes.
Um,
But you can just concentrate on cosmetics, right, and
Yes.
manufacturing.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, attorney. But we, according to our research as well, the industry classification will dictate our taxation, or how we are going to be taxed, how our permits are going to be processed. And
Yeah.
so, given that time, we did not really decide on what industry classification code to put in. But at least we are aware that there is that consequence of choosing the right industry classification.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anybody notice something about the title? It's a holding company, right? So usually holding company is just the holder of the shares, no? And the entity beneath that is the manufacturing entity. So, well, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, and then again, the purpose of the holding company would be different than the purpose of a manufacturing concern. So if you are manufacturing cosmetics and selling it internationally, then you would have to adjust for the manufacturing entity, the primary purpose would be, for example, import-export of raw materials needed for cosmetic products like aerosol, maybe perfumes. You could also include that, so you'll be a complete like cosmetics concern. So stuff like that. But it's a good start. It's a good start. Okay, and then you mentioned so this is an international, it's a global entity, no, with different uh hubs, right? So you operate in a lot of countries. Did you put that in the bylaws or in the purpose?
In the purpose, attorney, we put to operate globally,
Okay.
or to be able
Okay.
to distribute and operate globally.
Okay.
Just that very vague
Right.
statement.
Okay. Okay.
In the bylaws, it was just providing for, and I'll show.
Yeah.
It's providing for how we meet, considering all the details around the global company. So let me do share. And that's the bylaws. Mm.
So in Singapore, you just choose the numbers, right? And they refer, and it's already like inputted, no? The tax, how the company is treated, etc., considered. But here in the Philippines, you have to spell it out one by one. All the primary and secondary purpose that you should you should have a vision first, right? What do you want this company to be in the future? And you should prepare for it by putting it in the primary or secondary purpose. Otherwise, you would need to amend it later on. If you want, for example, in Coca-Cola, we just launched a couple of years ago ready to drink alcohol. So Jack and Coke, Absolute Sprite, Lemondo. So we put that already in our, assuming we didn't put it in our articles of incorporation, we cannot engage in that business. Otherwise, we will be fined, etc. Our license might be revoked. But if you put that in the business, in the primary and secondary purpose, then you're ready just in case in the future you engage in that channel or stream of business. So just have a vision of what you want to achieve in the future. Put it in their primary and secondary purpose so that you won't have any issue later on. Yes, Mir, you have questions? It's not difficult, but if you're in FMCG, you need to move fast. There's a reason why there's that F in fast moving consumer goods. Because if you're late, if you're a secondary mover, then you lose the opportunity. Your competitor might gain the market share, and it's gonna be difficult for you to catch up.
Sure.
Yes.
Is it correct to say that if the activities is outside of the primary and secondary purposes, the corporation would be performing an ultra
Ultra
VS?
vires, yes.
What would be the consequences?
Well, a complaint can be filed against the SEC and saying that you're operating outside your primary and secondary purpose. Your license, your registration could be revoked. Plus, you could get fines and penalties from different government agencies because, for example, FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, they require you to submit application, and sometimes they don't check the primary and secondary purpose, no? But if the SEC sees that, and then the FDA learns about that later on, then you could be liable for fines and penalties for operating beyond the primary purpose of the business. So that's why it's very important to really lay down what you want to do now and in the future for your business. Yeah.
Is this good enough? I tried to
Yeah.
answer. But is this, because we were trying not to be very specific that would restrict us later on. So just trying to say we wanted to operate globally, but we will be the source for the product just in Asia. So, or it's not advisable to specify regions to allow further expansions later on.
I think globally, internationally, those can be put in even if you're just operating locally, right? So again, preparing for the future is important. And then so yes, my advice would be to put it in because
So,
operating domestic and abroad.
so because, yeah.
Yes, no region.
So because we're just beginning, we just put it there, and then later on we will be acquiring companies or making
Yes.
incorporating subsidiaries
Yeah.
that will operate globally.
Yes. So I'm assuming, for example, this it's not a holding company but a manufacturing concern, right? So if it's manufacturing, then you should put their manufacture, production of, including but not limited to the following items like cosmetics, perfumes, whatever. Uh, and then including distribution, logistics, importing, exporting, buying raw materials here and abroad. So yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So if you will notice, sir, in well, in the secondary purpose, we would also like to serve as educator. As
Mhm.
educator. So
Yes, because for example, if you are, so one of my classmates 5 years ago was the owner and co-founder of Happy Skin. So she sold her stake already, but her primary business was really just to, similar to this one, sustainable, organic makeup. And it's it's uh it's similar to this business model.
Ours is also tied up with sustainability
Yes.
programs.
Yes. So what she did, just to answer your question about education, at the time when they started, people were not into organic makeup, right? And I don't know if you know the brand. So I one of my favorite shows is Shark Tank, no? So I watch Shark Tank. So I was watching this episode. One of these episodes, they had this shark, a guest shark, Jamie something. She's a girl, and she was the founder of It. I don't know, It Cosmetics. I don't know if the women here. So they're okay. So she founded that company because she was a new broadcaster and she had sensitive skin. So it cosmetics. So okay. So when the high because when you're broadcasting, the lights are right very bright on your skin. It it became irritated her skin. So she said, I think maybe why not make my own brand. So she said that it's skincare plus cosmetics. So it she banked on that business model, on that vision, no. And after a few years, she sold it to L'Oreal for over $1 billion. So yeah, but you have to be again a first mover because right now there's a lot of skincare plus cosmetics going around, right? You should take advantage. And that's why it's important to put in your primary and secondary purpose the things that you envision your company to be 5 years, 10 years. It's not just simple as picking the numbers under in the book and say this is going to be it, this is going to be it. But you should be forward looking.
Sir also
About the
implied
industry.
expressly stated, explicit in A, secondary purpose is the agency. Agency. So there is a meaning we will be marketing, providing marketing services for other cosmetics companies.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
So there is an agency angle also in our purposes.
Okay, so you mean you're going to sell data to other, is that what you wanted to do?
Maybe it will depend on the oh, sorry.
G is
Proceed.
not agreeing with
Okay. Uh because it says there marketing service or various cosmetics.
Yes.
Um we in my view, we will be flexible depending on the needs of the companies we will be uh,
So,
marketing for.
so when you say marketing, you're going to promote, right?
It
So
could
is
be
that it?
it
What you
could
wanted to
be
do? Promote? Because I thought it was
yeah,
just getting data from your customers and then making it available to other parties. But
I
here, when you say marketing services,
Sir, ganito, the marketing service is really broad, 'di ba? It could be advertising,
mm-hmm,
it could be promotion,
mm-hmm,
it could be physical distribution too, which is
okay,
part of marketing.
yes,
So, and yun nga, promotion, sales too.
yes,
So that could be part of that.
okay,
But we're making this in general terms as according to G, it will yeah,
okay, okay,
general terms so
okay,
that it
okay,
can accommodate uh
okay,
whatever is contemplated under the term marketing service.
mhm,
So we
mhm,
can make it just a little bit or
okay,
depending on the company's needs.
yeah, yeah, that could work. That could work.
So that's why we're making it very broad so that
Mm-hmm.
the SEC, we don't want the SEC running after us. So
Or the competition
or the
commission.
competition or the competition commission, yes.
What's probably my comment there just probably is, of course, when you're beginning, you should concentrate first on your own products, own marketing, and then later on, if you capture enough market share and you think that the others won't harm you, uh, then probably you can extend that service to the others. Just
But our operations will be global, sir.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So that will need also marketing studies.
Yeah, when I said e-commerce, I said what my intention was to promote your own products through the your e-commerce platform. No? But that is good. At least you also have that vision maybe in the future. And maybe not even just cosmetics. You could sell other stuff, right? Okay. Yeah.
Question, sir.
Cash.
Linking our secondary purpose, letter B, to the happy skin story.
Yes.
And also because I follow Risa Manangkil closely.
Okay.
Would you know, like the blockers they encountered?
The what?
The blockers they encounter, she encountered when it comes to pushing for sustainable or clean products.
Mhm.
Because when she left Happy Skin, I lost trust. I stopped supporting the brand.
Yes, yes. But there's an underlying story there that maybe I can tell in another. Maybe, let's see.
Then maybe we'll change our secondary purpose. Not just kidding. So that we can elaborate on our secondary purpose.
Yeah, yeah. But it has something to do with the partnership. So,
So
yes.
the market, not because of the market, sir.
No, no. Yes. So, that's the value you get when you're a lawyer in class. Eh. People talk to you and say, "Attorney, what can I do here?" So, yes, Derek.
Yes, Prof. Actually, just very easy question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering why the rationale we divided the main purpose and the
Yes.
secondary purpose. Can we switch like in the flexibility in the futures by ourselves?
Okay. Yes, but you don't need to amend anything. That's when you say primary purpose, it's a more general, all-encompassing statement, right? And then sometimes when you say secondary purpose, it's more of the detailed operational stuff that you see the company will be doing in today and in the future. So, for example, uh, buying and selling real property to to build distribution centers, physical distribution centers, something like that. Um, and being able to borrow money as well from financial institutions. So more on the operational side, but the primary purpose is really your your mission, no? And we'll talk about that later. I have okay, so continue, sorry. We have two more teams.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. We drafted the bylaws using a pattern, I think from Singapore too. So basically, bylaws are just the internal rules
Yes. Yeah.
in terms of meeting, who will
Mhm.
call the meeting, who will
Mhm.
preside, what's the
Mhm.
quorum. The
Mhm.
quorum is provided, of course,
Mhm. Mhm.
by law. But the agenda, mga ganun, sir.
Yeah.
Special meetings, regular meetings. So
But
basically,
did you like consider, for example, Janie, who is not from the Philippines,
yes, sir.
what would be the voting
Electronic.
yeah, and
Yeah, from my experience, the attorneys can verify later. So me as a foreigner, actually me and Derek, we can be the position as the director first, and then the president, chairman. The positions that we are not allowed to be is firstly is the secretary. that's only the local citizen can be. And for the treasurer, if we have the working permit, the foreigner also can be. But if you don't have the working permit, you cannot. Yeah.
That's
Yes, because bylaws must be compliant with the law,
correct.
the articles first, then the law, and then the constitution of Singapore too, because they might have general rules there in the constitution. So because we use the existing bylaws as pattern, so we assume that it is compliant with all the other governing laws.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So just basic
Okay.
required quorum, form of proxies, qualification, duties, terms, and compensation of directors. We also have ano, sir, like we can meet. I think if I remember it correctly, we can meet even if some of the directors are outside the jurisdiction, just like in the Philippines.
Meaning,
Corporate law.
virtual.
Yes, sir, virtual participation and voting. We can also put there yung ano, we can also put there the kind of programs that they will use when communicating because when doing the virtual appearance because I noticed that in some companies even telephone call would be allowed in case the person, the director, is in a remote place. For example, he is in a safari, so he would not. But we'd like to make it more flexible. So just voting because we know that the board decides by majority. So there's a democratic angle in it, majority vote. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Participate by video conferencing or teleconferencing or other alternative modes. So even other alternative modes of communication like text messages could be also it could be specified there.
Okay.
Cannot attend by proxy. Okay. Directors cannot attend by proxy.
Yeah.
Because precisely that's the raison d'etre or reason for being of the video conferencing. If they cannot be physically present, they should at least be virtually present.
Okay.
Then the time and manner of calling. So we know that there are only officers who are allowed to call the meeting. In some, we have also contemplated on allowing a certain number of directors to call the meeting, not only the president or the chairman. Unless the law of Singapore says otherwise, we can also do that. Ayan. I think that's it, sir. We will allow the others to. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
We're just opening the file, bro.
Okay.
Dinaan na lang po namin sa PowerPoint.
Animated. Okay. Very good.
That's the very good I'm looking for today, Prof.
I can
Wait.
smell the coffee already.
May na-validated na ako for today. So, the assigned task for us, Prof, is to have a cooperative, international coffee cooperative. Paano mag-next? Okay, kaya ko to. So, what we thought of, Prof, is to use Fair Trade, which is a platform which will connect Europe and other assigned countries like Colombia, Ethiopia, and Vietnam. Um, fair trade works with farming cooperatives or ICAC businesses, and it supports small scale farmers. It's a very sustainable platform.
Mm.
So this is what will happen. So the ICAC
Why did we
Ethiopia,
include the Philippines here? Our
It's-
civet coffee is very
it's not,
popular and expensive.
Prof, it's not assigned eh.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
We want to put it on record that we
All right.
wanted
I
to.
would have given you extra points. It's okay.
All instructions.
Lack of sense of foresight on our part, Prof.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Our good coffee should do good for everyone. So we observe labor laws, unlike others, you know. And it's built on fair trade, shared ownership, and dignified livelihoods. We also observe other laws in different countries that we're connecting, Prof.
Sorry. Can you? Um,
Coffee with a conscience. Yes. Nestle is shaking. Char.
we should have put that on at the top. Coffee with a conscience.
Noted, Prof.
But it's okay. Finance more direct to consumer, B2B, pre-orders. Okay.
We want to hire you already since we're a holdings company. We want to hire you for our secondary purpose A, the marketing.
She's getting your data.
Name
Okay.
your price.
Go.
So we also did Prof peso analysis, which is at the last part of our presentation. But we found that there is consumption in non-producing countries, for example, in Europe. So the European countries do not consume as much coffee, do not produce as much coffee as Vietnam, Ethiopia, and
But they
Colombia.
consume a lot.
They consume a lot. So we saw the opportunities there. So this is our articles of incorporation and bylaws. We just lifted some of the important parts. The text in blue will be based on the PESEL analysis that we had, which is at the last part. So this is the purpose. Also in the Philippines, Prof, I believe that there's a separate primary and secondary purpose, but we benchmarked in Europe, and they just combine it. So our primary purpose is to unite fair trade coffee growers from Colombia, Ethiopia, and Vietnam, to meet their common economic, social, and cultural needs, aspirations through jointly owned, democratically controlled enterprise by operating globally. And then the next ones would just be to support the primary purpose.
Okay.
It appears to be motherhood statements, Prof, but we
No,
mean
but
it.
you can see the difference between a regular corporation and a cooperative, right? A cooperative operates for the benefit of all its members. No, so you have to uplift their um yes, their status in life, financially as well. No? Yeah.
As a response to that, Prof, we saw that there's a regulation in Europe which prohibits, I think it can be seen here. We provided it in our AOI, that there's a prohibition for if the main objective is for profit. So every cooperative must comply with that the main objective is not profit. So it's more of helping really the members. So there's also another limitation provided in um Cooperative and Community Benefit Societies Act of 2014, which states that there shall be limit for the time being specified by legislation, which is currently at 100,000 euros, pounds, euros, depends on. Yeah. However, the board may determine a lower maximum shareholding for specific types. So here there are two types of membership. The first one will be a regular membership, and the second one will be associate membership. But when it comes to their rights, there's only one difference, which is the education part. So these are the rights and privileges of members. These are just basic attending the meetings, availing himself of the services of the cooperatives, inspect and examine the books of accounts. So this is for the regular members. We can see the difference between the regular members and the associate members in the next slide.
Right.
And that would be letter letter E here. Participate in the continuing education and other training programs of the cooperative, and the right to vote and be voted upon. And these are the duties and responsibilities of a member. Textbook duties and responsibilities.
Okay.
So for the board of directors and officers, 7 directors shall serve until their successors have been elected within 90 days. There are also different committees. We have, I think, 9, 2, 4, 6, 5 committees, and they shall appoint the following officers. We also have a special section here, Article 6, because it's a requirement. It's a requirement under EU deforestation regulation, wherein coffee cooperatives must be traceable uh, to the origin. Mm.
We would also like to add that getting certification from fair trade, it's like a prestige among cooperatives and businesses, because if you get that certain kind of certification, um it would entail to the world that you are abiding by sustainability standards, ESG standards, which is also supported by our case study yesterday with FINMA regarding the cocoa planters, the chocolate farmers in Africa.
It's like a certification of, right, badge of legitimacy.
This one would be this is from the templated bylaws also. So we just used it. So textbook provision.
Yeah. Okay. Let's proceed.
I think that's all. This one is our PESEL analysis. So this is our basis for including some of the provisions in the bylaws and in the AOI. So basically, we just saw the opportunity to really expand in Vietnam, Ethiopia, and in Colombia because they have large produce of coffee. And in Europe, there's lacking. Also, we found that UK is one of the United Kingdom is one of the top consumers of coffee and the importers as well. And also, because this is a cooperative, we wanted to help the communities in Ethiopia and in Colombia, because in Colombia, letter B, there's local support from municipal coffee communities. And the people there, their livelihood is basically based on coffee. They're reliant on coffee production. These are our
And that's the
references.
basis for the training
Yes,
in
yes,
the AOI. Okay.
yes.
All right. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, LT2. Good job.
Thank you, Prof.
LT3. So now we're talking about services, no?
Candy.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, sir. Good morning, classmates. Okay, so mm, last week, um, we were able to discuss mainly about AJ's company. So it is very timely that AJ has a consultancy company in Singapore and is planning to expand its business in the Philippines. So he is about to um, incorporate as a subsidiary here in the Philippines, and that is what we wanted to present. So don't worry, classmates, this is pretty straightforward and simple. Oh, wait. Okay, so just a one-page charter for our company. By the way, we were assigned to have to present an international consulting services. It is a cross-border management consulting firm headquartered in London with offices in New York, Dubai, and Tokyo, operating under a profit-sharing agreement among partners in each region. So what we will be presenting is mainly on AJ's consulting company. This is actually a mix of the laws of Singapore, where his company is incorporated, and those that we were not able to um, research on, we just used Philippines as our reference, use the Philippines Corporation Law as our reference. Okay, so the name of our um, consulting firm is OFA International London Limited. So it's a limited company. It is based in UK, and then its primary purpose is to provide construction project management oversight services. So as to the specific details of what the company is doing, maybe AJ can provide insight on that.
What does,
But
what does OFA stand for?
It's an overseas it's an organic fusion association. It's just
Is it really your company name, or
it's actually a company. Yes.
Okay.
If I may add on with Candy,
Sure.
may I?
yes,
Okay. Prof, thank you first for giving us this assignment. Actually, disclaimer lang, we will focus on the introduction on the permits and the licenses, which is the task. Although you have given us some countries specified, so we just follow it, tailor fitting to the assignment. So basically, in 30 years of in the industry, in 28 countries I've done business, and 7 of it I apply business permits. So it's always different from Philippines, and it has similarity of all Commonwealth countries, Singapore, US Pacific, and
UK.
and even the UK. There are Commonwealth countries. For us, it's very simple because we're construction project management. We are not doing projects like LT1,
Yeah.
LT2
that
Yeah.
it restricts to do business if you're doing biodiversity restrictions on Commonwealth country. For us, there's no restriction because it's a project management
Yes.
consultant. So it's very simplified. That's why we have only 3 slides.
Yeah.
So just to give the mates an overview, what is PMO oversight services is, could I make a sample here, a project in Philippines for a renewable wind farm project in Quezon. Our funder is in UK, may I say an Asian Development Bank or something like that. They're the one who will fund the project, and we are the PMO who oversight the design, give advice if the loan amount is, can be drawn down based on a successful
Milestones.
caprice and
Yeah.
milestones, and the concession agreement will be 25 years. All those kind of things, that's really the portfolio of the project. So that's
falls
why
under
that's why I applied last week here in the Philippines for that portfolio only.
Okay.
So that's why I'm sharing it right now to the team as a real experience
Yeah,
here in
yeah.
the Philippines for
Good.
applying. So we make it simple, boss. We establish the capitalization and contribution. It has the amount indicated by my team with the authorized capitalization and dividend shares with the assumption of 10 pounds per value per share. And we have also the paid up capital amount indicated there on the screen and based on the contract price. So for a consultancy, it varies and depends on what the PMO. For a subway project would be a different contract.
But is
So-
it always or most a percentage of the total project cost?
Yes.
Okay.
The same like engineer or
Yes.
architect would
Yeah.
charge his fee.
Yeah.
But the difference with PMO in all the Commonwealth countries I applied for business permit is you have to be obligated to provide professional indemnity insurance
Yes.
equivalent to the amount of the particular project and the high risk. For power, it has a high risk, so the PII is a little bit high. And you're obligated for high risk project to have a public liability insurance also, including
That's different from
for a power plant I've done in Chicago, 56 megawatts. We will provide $1 million PII and $1 million of public liability insurance, and then a worker compensation of $500,000 for
What's PII again? Sorry.
professional indemnity. It is applicable only for a consultant who give advice.
Yeah.
If I say Avoitis, I hired Avoitis as my investor for a renewal project.
Yeah.
I am the middle guy who bridged the contractor and the investors
Yeah.
before the bank will draw down and give the funding for it. So
Okay.
we do also the feasibility and the design, showing the 25 years concession, so that all my mates and my classmates here will understand what is a PMO.
And do you have also retention amounts?
Yes, the
oh,
same like the contractor, we
Same.
have a 10% retention of the tail end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 And furthering to discuss about the capitalization, all the norms in terms of incorporation, capitalization, duties I've mentioned of my Group 1 and Group 2 is the same patented, whether in Vanuatu, Port Moresby, Bay, the same. It's just the duties and responsibilities sometimes are tweaking a little bit. It depends on the organization structure.
Yeah.
And also, we had an exercise here with the team of 70% owned by London headquarters, because we have a global business unit, and if I have to make a subsidiary, which is the small portfolio, and we're not taking all the entire portfolio of London, it's just as, say, a PMO services. We take 30% of headquarters shareholder, owned by the shareholder, and the regional are 10%. In New York, 10% in Dubai, and 10% on Tokyo, something like that.
How did you arrive at the division 70-10-10-10?
Candy, can you help me out, or attorney?
Actually, sir, we just patterned it based on what was assigned to us. Of course, the main headquarters should have the greater share, but to give voices to the regional offices, we gave them, like, we assigned them 10% of the total shareholdings for them to be able to participate, especially in the or to give them voice in the operations of the company.
I thought you like were able to get like a benefit in taxes, or that's why you majority or 70% was in London and the rest
Yeah, actually, for may I add?
yeah, sure.
One of the license officer in SEC advised us, uh, your office is a GBU in London,
Mm.
assuming like that. So if you're bringing a GBU in London to branch out here, it's a totally different story. They
Mm.
have the parameters, they will
Mm.
take the share structure.
Yeah.
But for business, for bringing only the small SBU business unit here with a single portfolio of the main portfolio of the global office,
Mhm.
you can have restructure based on your internal means and methods.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
it's like a Shona is Madrid put up a Makati
Office.
Shona Philippines
Yeah.
here. It's a different story. That's
Mhm.
the question that SEC is regulating on this, how the share is patterned.
Yeah.
They have actually the percentage value
Okay.
parameters for it. For us or in our application, we make it simplified, has a
Yeah.
small business portfolio.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We'll discuss that later also, how governments limit, restrict, or encourage investments and trade. No?
And to be honest, Prof, so that I could get approval, we simplify it and tailor fitting to what is the most easiest way and to get the permit and the license for
Yeah,
the operations.
yeah. And besides, you can probably change that later on as well. If
Yeah, actually, that's the strategy of our consultants, which we
Mhm.
hired. It's
Mhm.
better to afterwards, once the down payment is in already,
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
restructure or something like that.
Yeah, and the you get less questions from the regulators, and then later on, after you've proved your business model, then you can change probably
Eh,
later on.
And you mentioned a good point a while ago. It was also mentioned from one of the SEC to put the first purpose and
Mhm.
second purpose, just in
Mhm.
case the business grows up, something
Yeah,
it's embedded already.
yeah,
Because it seems the amendment takes tough time here in SEC
yes.
for a foreign or a company, something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It depends on what you want the SEC to do. So if it's like a change of name or change of principal address, it usually takes like 2 weeks. But if like additional paid in capital, so you're going to increase, then that might take a longer while.
That's true.
Sorry, Proof. Actually, as my experience, if we want to change our address, I mean registered address for the office, it take 2 to 3 months to achieve the
Oh,
approval from
okay.
SEC.
I'm sorry to hear that. but I maybe I'll introduce you to the guy I know. You know, because some if you unfortunately sometimes you have to know the right people, right? It shouldn't be like that, and we have laws against it, but it happens.
This
Yeah,
condition already be the CP of our financial close.
yeah.
Change the change the office address.
Yeah.
Takes 3 months. Now
Oh.
everything is waiting for this.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
We will talk later.
Okay.
I'll introduce you to the guy I know. Yes.
Okay. Okay. If I may continue, the management structure can be actually complex, like what LT1 and L2 discussed.
Mhm.
But we more simplify it as a consultancy. With the consensus of the team, we compose a BOD of 4 SH in London, and one for New York, one for Dubai, and one for Tokyo, for all those subsidiary or business units. Officers are composed of the normal and typical structure: president, treasurer, VP for finance, VP for operations, and VP for technical. Since we are a consultancy, we are obligated to pour in on-site on each country project managers. We just designated 12 employees of project managers. And
Structure is flat.
yeah,
Ah.
sorry, I can't
Yeah, it's
remember
okay.
the color. And next one is the shareholder rights and duties, varying the rights and the right of inspection, preemptive right, appraisal rights, dividends, semi-annual and distribution of assets after the dissolution and liquidation, right to sue, right to transfer ownership, are common norms on the typical application. Duty to elect directors, duty to fully pay their subscription agreement. I think one of the Filipinos that I acquired was happy about the terminology, fully paid their subscription agreement. So that, and Tim, you want to add before we go to the next slide?
We can already proceed.
Okay, and next slide, please. And bylaws, Candy, you might proceed or
Okay, I can do it.
Okay,
So
thanks.
typical bylaws for a typical limited company. So BOD shall have management oversight functions, but operations will be managed by company officers. So the management team. BOD shall be empowered to establish regional offices, enter into JV or joint venture or consortium with other entities to be able to provide technical works that would require such arrangement.
I think that's important, right? For for that business, to be because there's a lot of JVs entered in that space. I would imagine.
Yes.
That's why you remember I asked you about joint venture and
Yes,
concession agreement.
consortiums. Yeah.
I was part of the super consortium during the NEA back 2018.
Okay. So see, it's really important to be able to do that. And if you don't put that in your bylaws, in your bylaws, then you're restricted, right?
Yes. Others, members of the BOD must have at least one share of stock to be elected and must not be convicted by final judgment of an offense punishable by imprisonment or a violation of the Corporation Code. Annual compensation of £5,000 for the BOD shall be approved by a majority of the total shares outstanding, while compensation of officers shall be approved by majority of BOD. Income and business taxes shall be paid for by the company and shall be the responsibility of the finance department, but with oversight from BOD. So here we learned that the UK tax code provides that there shall be a 19% corporation tax for profits of £5,000 or less, and 25% if profits are 250,000 or more, and if in between, you can apply for marginal relief. Also, as to business taxes, VAT registration would be required if sales would be £90,000 or more. So in the Philippines, just an information, our corporate tax is at 20% if your income is 5 million or less, and your total asset is at 100 million or less. If beyond that values, then the corporation is subjected to a 25% corporation corporate income tax. We also have in the Philippines the 2% minimum corporate income tax, and what else? And for branch remittance, there shall be a 15% tax if ever the branch remits profit to its head office. That's for the Philippines. And then vacancies in the BOD shall be filled through majority vote of the remaining BOD if there is still a quorum, or through majority of total shares outstanding, while vacancies in the officership position shall be filled through majority vote of the BOD. Special meetings may be called any time, but annual meeting is every January 15 of every year. Quorum is simple majority.
Question
Annual,
on that quorum, right? So
yes,
you said that London holds 70%
yes,
ownership, right?
yes, yes,
So just one vote by the London office is enough,
yes,
right?
because it's simple majority or the
Oh,
total shares outstanding.
and you guys are okay with that?
Mm.
Sir,
I think from the Philippine point of view, it might be a discussion for it. But
Mm.
for the means and methods that we are engaged in with right now,
Mhm.
because PMO doesn't have actually funding to open here in the Philippines, it's a down payment from the client. So if the head office would see it, it's not a sustainable relationship, something like that, you will be doing business ambiguous or something like that. It has the control because these are covered by a PII, and the coverage of the PII is from the head office.
Okay.
sir,
Yes,
as
Don.
I understand it, in a stockholders meeting, for example, they can adjust the majority there, or they can put majority vote pa din, or a super majority vote would be needed. Also in the board, there are issues that should be decided by sometimes super majority because it's a very important. But the ordinary day-to-day
Especially for
decisions,
finances, right?
yes, sir. But the
Capex
ordinary, like meeting,
discussions.
I propose that we donate something, maybe that would need a smaller
So,
vote.
so that's an important also point, class, no? When it especially when it comes to finances, right? Because these are the common topics of dispute in the board. So whether you're with a joint venture or a simple corporation, it's the finances that are
Yes.
probably more contentious. So sometimes you put um, increased voting for certain topics, like
Yes, sir.
spend capex, no, or and then for the others it's just simple majority.
Some boards and corporate, some assemblies they provide the fractional vote that is needed for certain decisions. Some are required by law. Some they can choose.
And that's mostly in the bylaws. Okay, go ahead, Candy.
Okay, so may I continue? We are
Yes.
now in the non-compete clause for a period of 3 years applicable to
Why is
BOT
it 3 years? So
officers.
why is it 3 years?
Actually, they were thinking of having it like 5 or 10 years,
Really?
but yes,
Wow.
but but during discussion, I told them that
Yeah.
five
But,
or
but
ten
what's
years is maybe too long.
yeah, but
So,
what's the rationale for, because usually the non-competes, no, and maybe Shooty can weigh in, it's just 1 year. 1
2
to 2 years.
years for us.
But it's, and in fact, if you look at Europe now and even the United States, they're viewing non-compete clauses as anti-competitive.
Actually, yes.
So you cannot prevent an employee from moving to a competitor. But of course, there are probably you can put in some restrictions like confidential information
Mhm.
um, exists even after termination of employment, etc., etc. But right now, I think that would invite questioning from competition authorities. If you're in Europe and America, here
Okay.
not so much, no. But normal is um
One or
1 or 2.
two for us, actually,
Mm.
sir,
That's
in our
long,
company.
especially
Yes.
depending on the industry. If your
Mm-mm.
industry is really like dealing with confidential, for example, like FMCG, it's the data there is really fast, right? So the data you have right now may be not relevant anymore in 6 months. So in Coca-Cola, it's just 1 year. But in others, depending on the industry, so in other words, you would have to be able to justify why are you saying your non-compete should be 1 year, your non-compete should be 2 years. So what is the company trying to protect there? And justify the period, no? Shruti, Mir, and then
Actually, now in the Philippines, sir, our response is much more progressive. So how many years ago? Around 2 years ago. My first project when I joined the policy team was we actually relaxed our rehiring policy already. Because before, it took forever or nearly impossible to go back to Shell once you leave, right? And then things changed. And then now we relaxed the rehiring policy. Within 6 months, staff could come back to Shell if they want.
Okay. Here.
I just wanted to ask if there are governing laws in DOLE about the non-compete.
Governing laws in?
Like, is there anything that's being followed now? Okay. For example, you will transfer to competition.
Is there a law?
Yeah, is there a law to protect the person too? Because I think the non-compete, the principle behind it, I think, is for the person not to do damage or go to competition, bring data with them. But there's an economic reason why a person is also transferring. So if and then the period, professor, as to when, what's also the principle behind it. So if that would happen to me, is there anything in DOLE that would a person can, and ay nakataas ang kamay. Just asking.
So non-competes really are really just to prevent the passing of confidential information that would hurt the original company, no? For example, if you're rolling out a marketing initiative, you're in FMCG, for example, Coke. So we're rolling out an initiative for our ARTD, alcohol ready to drink. We call that ARTD. And then this person who works there has in possession of really confidential files. He was part of the committee who created that program, has resigned. And then he's moving. We later learned that he's moving to a competitor, let's say Pepsi, no? And then Pepsi, who has no ARTD, is creating an ARTD program. So that's the danger that the non-compete seeks to prevent. No,
Sir, on that point,
Yeah.
on that point, would it can it be placed in the employment contract, the breach, so that he could be sued for damages?
Yeah.
So that's there
It
is
should
no
be
law.
common. It should be common, in your employment agreements, and you have to check with your it's when I was starting, it's probably in as an in-house counsel like 12, 13 years ago. I checked, no, and not all employees had that non-compete. So I had to create another way for them to sign. And then how did I do it? I suggested to HR that every year you have to acknowledge that your existing policies or changes in the policies. So whether it's ethics, code of conduct, and you can do that just by ticking the box and or affirming via email.
So there is no law that penalizes or sanctions.
So
that,
if you
but
violate,
there could be a breach of contract.
so if you violate, the employee can be subject to a civil case,
Civil case, yes.
and for violation of breach of contract, damages, and if that person brings the files it depends on how, no? If they downloaded the files and then shared it, that could be a violation also of penal laws, special penal laws on cybercrime, no? So, but you have to prove that the person benefited. There is a monetary benefit, right? So, anyway, it's a very, very shooty.
But
And then
nowadays, because
Alex.
of technology, things are really changing very fast. Like in terms of transferring, if you want to prevent transfer of confidential information, right? Nowadays, people don't need to move companies for that to happen. You can just send emails, and also like right now, we have external emails get quarantined by the system now. So it goes beyond. It now goes beyond. Yeah, it now goes beyond staff transfer, people transferring from one company
Yeah.
to another.
So your tech team should be able to monitor what comes out of the company, no? Where so we have that capability. So and also in some companies they also have a litigation hold. So for example, an employee, a senior manager, a VP has decided to resign. So number one, that employment contract for managers above has a longer notice period. So before it was just 30 days. Now it's 60, it's 90 days. So for senior managers, because of the sensitivity of their position. And if they put in their notice, we alert the tech team. No? Tech team, please monitor all please monitor all communications in the last like 30 days and even moving forward. What were the emails coming out of this resigning employees inbox, right? So just to prevent anything, corporate espionage is real, no?
So, sir, you have the ability to get into their computers without their consent.
Yes.
Or
That's
is there a
company property.
that's a prior consent?
No, that's company property.
And so
All tools of trade, computers, emails, it's company property.
all right.
So you don't need consent actually.
All right.
But the trick there, Sir Dodi, is communication.
Yeah. And then also the
Training and communication.
USB,
People are informed.
it's also disabled already. So USB in your laptops, in our laptops, are disabled. Cannot download to an external device. Alex?
Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, clear.
Yeah, well, chiming in on the non-compete discussion, previously in the Philippines, it is viewed as a restraint on one's exercise of profession or trade. So it was entirely prohibited, but that has evolved. So there are existing jurisprudence that validates non-compete clauses for as long as one, there is an agreement, and that is usually in the form of the employment contract. And number two, which is important, is there must be a sufficient consideration. Because sufficient consideration, it can come in the form of payments,
your salary, your bonus,
salaries,
signing bonus.
even trainings, special trainings, take for example, trainings in Harvard or Columbia. Those trainings that are expensive can be considered as sufficient consideration for non-compete clauses to be valid.
Yeah. Yes.
Alex, can this be implemented in the middle of the game? I mean, enforced, how do you say that?
Yeah.
While employed.
For example, Alex was mentioning trainings, right? So if the company sends you to an external training, for example, to AIM, we ask our employees to sign a bond, no? And that bond also includes a promise to stay in the company for, let's see, depending on the amount, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. But if you're sent to Harvard, right, then probably it's gonna be years, right? So, okay. Look, guys, it's 10:35. I have some slides, and then I'll give you. Can I just have like 5 minutes more, and then I'll assign the Brainerd case to you. Okay.
So can we continue to the
Yes.
last, I
Yes.
think four provisions, confidentiality and non-disclosure. All shareholders, directors, officers, employees, consultants, and agents of OFA International London shall maintain the confidentiality of all technical, commercial, financial, and operational information obtained in the course of their association with the company during 10-year and for a period of, this is the one I told you about, sir, the 10 years after this engagement. And then for IP ownership, intellectual property rights from services provided is owned by the proponent or client. Consultant's liability, any liability arising from the business shall be covered by professional indemnity through a public liability bond set up. Finally, dispute resolution shall be made through negotiation, mediation, and arbitration methods. Litigation shall be a last resort. That's it.
Yeah, so just on IP ownership, it's important, right? If you
Yes.
create a new design, it's important that we all know who owns that, right? And it's normally the entity, the company. So if you have a breakthrough design, like for example, Frank Lloyd Wright, I'm sure AJ knows a design structure that's similar to Frank Lloyd Wright, then it's the company that owns it, not the creator.
Sir, just 2 points feedback.
Yes.
On all LTs, including ours. I know I did not notice any committee system. Mostly
There is
Oh,
the
sorry.
coffee
Yeah.
cooperative.
So I'd like to congratulate the
We got it all for you.
Sa amin wala eh. And also, sir, about the parliamentary procedure, there should be a parliamentary authority in proposing, in discussion, and decision making. There should be
Yeah.
parliamentary authority.
I mean, probably if you had more time, you could have like put that in place. But again, it's just simple majority for some. You meant like voting, right? Voting on.
Also, the discussion of proposals, because during the meetings, the proposal should be in the form of like a motion. I move that we do this, and then the motion will be open to a discussion, and then after that, there should be vote.
My only comment there is that would probably work well in like for example, the Senate, right? But in a business where decisions have to be made really quickly, right? Probably less is more. No?
The states, which is a more civilized system.
You're like
They
saying
do not.
we're not civilized
I
here.
take back everything I said, sir.
Okay. Before you dig yourself further in a hole, I will wait, share just I have just 2 slides, and then okay. So we're talking about organizational charters, right? What you presented. So when we were talking about primary purpose, when we look at a primary purpose, it's like really a mission vision statement, no? So statement of purpose for existence. For example, for coffee, right? You want to share different coffees from different countries to the world, right? It's like farm to cup. So I like that. Farm to cup, coffee with a conscience. It's a mission statement. And it's simple, easy to remember. No?
Farm to cup.
So what does your company do? A vision statement, where your company is headed. No? Yeah, probably, for example, in the coffee is to uplift the lives of coffee growers or underprivileged coffee growers in the world. What are you aspiring for? For e-commerce? Maybe to be the e-commerce platform for all cosmetics and perfumes, etc. Value statements is really what are your core values, no? What do you stand for? For example, Starbucks, they stand for creating an environment between the home and the office, right? So if you look at the Starbucks when it was starting, right? People were saying, "Oh, let's meet at Starbucks. Let's have a meeting at Starbucks." Right? It's homey. If you're relaxed, you're in a relaxed atmosphere. The ambience is nice. You're drinking coffee, eating food, and yet it's not the office as well. So it created that middle ground between the office and the home. So also shows values, assumptions, beliefs, and expectations. So on the operational side, how do you execute this mission, visions, and value statement? No? So strategy. How do you plan to get it to execute this? What are the specific activities that you wish to engage in? It's also the longest to draft, no? Operating goals, short and long-term goals must align with your mission, vision, values, and provide milestones. And who are the people who will lead this? So these are usually what are the important parts of your articles of incorporation and your bylaws. So having said this, let's look at three companies, no? Tesla, Google, and Microsoft. What's their mission statement for Tesla? Accelerate the world's transition to renewable energy. Yeah, electric vehicles, no? Self-driving cars. For Google, organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. I don't know if you read lately, are you following the antitrust trial of Google of Facebook? Are you guys? Okay, so the US DOJ, I think this is similar to what US DOJ did to Microsoft 20, 30 years ago. So they filed an antitrust case against Microsoft, and now they're doing it to Facebook because of they're so big, they're so dominant that they're already abusing their dominance. No, it's called abuse of dominance for competition under competition law. And I think you have a competition law subject later on, so you'll learn that. So Mark Zuckerberg testified. Several executives of Facebook testified. So Apple testified also. I think one of their vice presidents testified lately. And Apple pays a lot to um, Google, I think. Oh, no, no. No. Sorry, it's the other way around. Google pays Apple a lot of money to put as their browser in all of their Apple products as their default browser. So this executive of Apple was testifying that for the first time in I think 20 years, usage of their Chrome browser or the Google platform decreased. You know why? No? It's not really related to Facebook, but it arose during that trial because people are using AI more. So if they have questions, they don't go to Google and Google, they go to AI, they ask questions. So they foresee that I think probably in a few months or maybe next year we'll have a different conversation, no? That AI, Chat GPT, Gemini. So Gemini is the AI of Microsoft. So they'll be using these tools more than Google. So Google is really worried about that.
There's also Viber summary.
Okay, so Microsoft, empower every individual and organization on the planet to achieve more. And that's what they do through their operating system, software, vision for Tesla, create the most compelling car company in the 21st century by driving the world's transition to electric vehicles. For Google, provide access to the world's information in one click. Right? It's simple, one sentence, but it really encapsulates all that it stands for. So you should also think of that when you probably, revisit your company's mission vision. And if you are creating or building your own company later on, then look at the mission vision statement of all these successful companies. Values, sorry. Oops, wait. That's my question. For values, for Tesla, it's sustainability, innovation, inclusivity, striving for DI. No? For Google, accessibility, sustainability, and empowerment through technology, prioritizing user access to information and ethical business practices. And for Microsoft, respect, integrity, accountability, aiming to empower every individual and organization globally. Pretty strong statements.
Sir, may I comment?
Yes.
There's no sustainability angle there. Maybe in the others?
In Tesla, there is.
Renewable energy.
Yes. But the others, no. So it depends on the company as well. Okay? Okay, so for your break, sorry, we extended 15 minutes. We'll adjust the clock later on. So you have these LT questions. And then let's get ready for presentation and discussion afterwards. So you've read the case for the last 2 weeks, probably 3 weeks. So I'm sure this is going to be easy for you. And then we can create breakout rooms, and it's going to be a working break. Maybe we can. How many minutes do you want? 30, 40, 45, 45?
Sir, we just had FINMA exam yesterday. Last time we're still recovering.
And that's why I said since you've been reading this case for the last 2 to 3 weeks, you should already know this by heart. So okay, 45 minutes. Are you guys okay with 45 minutes? So we'll have like 1 hour for discussion and presentation. Yeah. And if you're not finished by for after 45 minutes, let's have a talk. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So who wants to start this time? LT1 ulit. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. Anybody start? So I think LT1 is the first one who volunteered, so you can go ahead.
Okay. Is everyone's here? Uh,
Go. Yeah. LT1.
okay.
Start.
May I now call Giselle to before.
Ngayon mag-delegate. That's a master delegator.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right. So our team, this is our the result of our debate. Healthy debate. Um, there. Okay. Going straight to the point, we will start with the first question on the compensation model. And Janie will discuss first few slides and we will pitch in.
Uh, Okay, hello everyone. So we just gave a brief case here to explain how we do this compensations flow chart. So just imagine your law firm has received a payment from your client equal to like 1 million whatever currency. I here put the Chinese currency here. So then firstly the firm it will overhead deductions 15% of that to keep for the firm's operation fee. That's 50%. And then the remaining amount will be 850,000, right? And then it will it depend on this case is be involved by how many partners and how many intern. Normally one case is will have one partner and several interns to support the partner to save the case, right? So it will have 60% give to the partner commission, and then 20% give to the intern lawyers. And finally, they will have 5% to put into the bonus pool for all of the lawyers in this law firm. Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to add. So we started with defining how to build the pool, the money pool out of every collection, every revenue opportunity that the firm has. Now we're going to the detail on the proposed compensation package by the committee in our next slide. So here, just note that we've built the pool. The firm gets a share. The partner group gets a share. And it's called intern, but please don't confuse it. It's really for the junior associates. Maybe in our case, it's partner and associates. And then we're separately putting something in the bonus pool for clarity of the discussion.
So what was involved in your discussions? How did you arrive at this division of the pool of the money?
There were a lot of, I mean, my teammates are free to discuss, but the main driver is we first defined what kind of partner firm will Baynard should be given the multiple dynamics. As it started with just 3 partners and it expanded. So there is a need now to ensure that I mean, you'll see later on as we build on this case on what do we perceive as the culture and how do we want it to be known for. So this is just like the start of separating it, and then later the values or the strategies will show, Professor. So I think it will show in this. It's a little detailed. Like remember we've built the pool for, we've
So just set the stage, right? A little bit. I'll set the stage. So you have for additional context, this law firm who they didn't want to pattern itself like the firms in New York where it's just work, work, work. No, they just wanted to create a more work-life balance among lawyers, which is rare. Yes. It's a myth. No, no, just joking. But there and in the whole duration of the lifetime of the firm, you already have this situation where they are senior members of the firm who, grew the firm to where it is now. But in terms of their contributions, the value that they add in attracting clients, being the rainmaker, they're not there anymore. No, so now different parts of the firm, different lawyers, more younger lawyers are bringing home the money. So there's this tension between senior lawyers who think that they should still be recognized for their previous efforts versus the younger lawyers who think that I'm the face of the future of this firm and I'm bringing home more money than the older ones are. And how do you balance that? Yeah. Okay.
and the nuisance we're trying to address. Matawa, Andre. So here you can see two tables. One is the compensation structure. It's the straightforward for every case one, and then the other one is the official like performance management system that will indicate what kind of values the firm wants to maintain. Of course, the revenue generation, that's the practical side, but you can see the collaboration, the branding, client feedback, cultural fit, which is essentially 60% what the culture of the firm wants to entail.
So, yeah. So if I may say something, you want to say something first? Okay, I yield to you.
I will add something for. Oh, so so this is going to be uniform to all the departments of the firm. But if you can see in the earlier slide, there's already a 15% contribution from the department or from the group who handled the case. 15% already goes to the whole firm. So the remaining 85% represents the both the tables that we are presenting now, just for clarification for everyone.
Yeah, so just to tie it up, okay, the 15%, you'll see why we need that. The partner and the junior lawyer, and then the bonus pool. The bonus pool is on the right side. There is the annual bonus. And then the partner pool, if you can see here that we think for every case, a partner, this is the last two bottom slide here, should handle it, and either a junior or a mid-level associate, then if needed, an intern. So that's how so there is a corresponding pool for the junior one separate from the partner pool, and then the firm will have the 15% because we do have certain people, like somebody, I don't remember the name, the one who's doing the R&D. There are admin support group who needs fixed compensation. So the firm will have the 15% for them. And then the pool that goes to the partner, and then the pool going to the junior staffs.
Okay. So I'm just a little bit confused, guys. I don't know if it's just me. Can you follow the distribution here?
So it's like our proposal. It's our proposal. And but of course the firm, sir, the firm has its own compensation committee, right? And the compensation committee is usually the one that governs the allocation.
Okay, let's go back one slide. Okay. So we're saying, for example, no, 15% overhead. So you have the rest, which is 850,000 left to distribute, right? So partner goes 60%. The lawyers who worked on the case 20%, and then 5% for the bonus. Okay, let's go one slide. So on the left part, you have the commissions for each level in the firm. No? Commissions taken from where? Because the base salary is fixed, right? So commissions, where do you take the commission? Is it from the bonus pool or?
And let me explain more.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for the left chart, it says each levels of the
Yeah.
positions, right? So that's the commission rate is based on the market, I think. If you are already capable to become from a junior associate to the middle level associate, then your compensation rate will be increased 10%.
I think the question is where do you apply the rate? So what's the denominator? Where do you apply the 20%, the 50, 60, 70,
Yeah.
85? Do you apply it? Because can we go to the previous slide, please? Okay. So do you apply it on the pool or do you apply it,
For example, for the partners.
yeah, on the partners?
Partner 70 to 80%. Do you
Yeah.
get it there or?
So for example, assuming the 85% is 100,000
Mhm.
in so we know that in the money that came in for this specific case, the 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 net distributable is 100,000. That's the 85%.
Mhm.
So we will say that, for example, in that case, it's handled, of course, by a partner
Yes.
who has a compensation package of, say, 70%. Then we will split the 100,000 between the partner who handled and the intern or the junior associate. So in this case, for example, 80-20.
What if it's a junior associate?
Yeah.
How would you divide it?
Okay.
But normally, one case doesn't
I
need
hear-
two partners, right? They might just be a balance. One is a really strong, experienced lawyer, and then just have a assistant to support him.
But I mean,
Ma-
it's yeah. My struggle here is how do you divide the pool? For example, it's 100,000 and you have two lawyers working on it, an equity partner and a junior or mid-level associate. How do you divide the 100,000 between the two?
So we were looking initially, Prof, equity partner 80% and then an intern. So that kind of 100%.
But sometimes it's not the case, right?
Sometimes there is a junior or a mid-level. Yeah, that should be a little lower to make it to the 100%. But like the idea is, the idea is,
Or the range should be bigger. So let's
yeah,
say
that's right.
for
50 to
equity
60.
partner, it's like 60 to 80,
Yes.
junior associate 20 to
Could-
40,
yeah.
so that you still have that
Right.
100%.
Yes. Yes, that's the concept.
Okay.
But I'm
Okay.
sorry, but that's the concept. We can make it
Yeah. Let's
to
just
make it to the
let's
100%, but
class
that's
so,
the idea.
so
Yeah.
class, let's just disregard the commission rate.
Don't make the math. It's just like
Uh,
of the
okay.
splitting and the pool.
Okay,
But
clear.
notice that the base salary is just on the intern.
Yes, yes.
Adrian challenged me on that. But
Because
we all agreed.
you go back to the first
The
slide.
idea, if
The
we don't have a
15%
base,
is overhead, and
correct.
we're assuming that
Everybody has
salaries is covered already by the overhead.
And then there is on the bottom the special compensation. There is a guy who likes, Shruti could maybe speak to it, but there was a guy who does the healthcare, right, Shruti?
The Paolo Piccoli guy. The one who was thought to be lost in the shuffle.
Mhm.
And then we said that it's a fixed commission, and then assuming the healthcare business booms, then you get 5 to 10% for every client, then you can arrange the commission. So that's the concept. And of course you have HR, finance, the corporate legal, and all that goes to the 15%. So that's the idea,
Okay.
Prof.
Okay.
And
So I'm
yeah.
clear already with the left table. How about the right table?
The rest what
Unless
I
you
explained.
have questions, the class.
Yeah,
Zini.
there might be a quarter.
Zini, sorry.
Oh,
Zini Thousand.
What does it mean that a junior associate doesn't have base salary? For example,
Good question.
what does it mean that only an intern has a base salary? Does it mean that if a junior associate doesn't handle any case, he won't get anything?
I think the case also mentioned they received a base salary, right?
I think, but that will be taken care of by the pool. So I think this is if you have that case. It's very specific to handling of the case. That's the 85% in our discussion.
Because my thinking, it's covered already under the overhead. Because when you say overhead, the lights,
This one,
utilities,
the
plus
80,
salaries,
the 15%.
Okay.
right?
So does that mean that on top of the base salary covered by the overhead expense, for an intern, he gets to have an additional 6 to 12K per case?
If he's supporting specific cases.
Oh, wow. Ang saya maging intern na.
Because their motivation is that we want them to grow. They don't earn much compared to the rest.
So this should be not none. This should
Yeah,
be
yeah. As per
under
the
per overhead or covered by the overhead. And then commission, this is in addition to the base salary. And then probably, yeah, incentives. I would just, if I would present this, I would probably, what's the position? What's the description of what they do? So it's clear, base salary, commission rate, and when you say incentives,
eligibility pro.
okay.
But we will amend
All
based
right.
on
No,
your
it's okay. Just
to be clearer. Yes.
yeah, the structure lang of the the table. Okay.
The right side
The right
is
side.
like the incentive to address the annual bonus and the
Covered by
promotion.
the 5%. Is it?
yes. So how can a new lawyer to get improved? Get promotion. So the law firm, they can have this quarterly or half a year or annually. How to say, a vote for each lawyer for that. So we assume it's a total points is 100 points. So for each dimensions, it has its weight. So for example, for the first one, the revenue generations, it's the 40 weight. So if like the personal lawyer, he votes himself is 100 points for this part. So the total this revenue generation is 40 points. So yes, so we will collect the personally and every else lawyers votes for this personal, and then we just make a range, and then we will decide it's a promotion for the young lawyer or it's a bonus for the exist lawyer. Yeah.
Question. Does revenue generation also include if you are the one who brought in the client? It includes that as well. Okay. Because there's in the case where he brought in a client, but he's not working on the account anymore, and it's the junior lawyers who you get the 40% still. Okay.
Actually, Prof, the concept here is the 40-60.
Mhm.
We wanted to retain that culture.
Mhm.
And the 40%, of course, the making money part.
Okay. But probably my comment there is that I think the work probably takes more importance than if you brought the client. I mean, like, cause that's where the friction started, right? I'm working on this account so hard. I put in like 60 hours a week, and then the partner who just brought in the client, is not doing anything. But is that what you?
But they still get some portion of the 40%, although the one who's really working hard on it
Mhm.
gets this part, gets
Mhm.
the 85%, if I may recall. Yeah. So you're working hard, you do this, like your BAU, you're really hands-on,
Mhm.
but we still incentivize in that aspect like the generation of
So
sales,
here, the incentive is taken from which pie? The
the
5%?
5%.
5%. But this one, the commission rate is taken from
The
850, 850. The 85%, 850,000. Go back to the first slide, you guys. Okay. So you have
Sorry, because I said 85. It's just 80.
80.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because the 5% is for pool.
Bonus.
Okay. Questions from the class?
For the score, can we go to the next slide? For the evaluation, who evaluates the lawyers? Attorney
For this,
Dodi.
Let's ask the lawyer. Let's ask the lawyer.
for this purpose, of course, they're talking about compensation. It's the compensation committee.
Okay, okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. So appeals process, compensation committee,
Sir.
15 days to
So
file MR.
Yes, sir. It's very legalistic. But
Yeah.
the process is strict so that legitimacy of the final outcome is achieved. They may not agree with the partners, and the associates may not agree because no one agrees really. Not everyone agrees.
Mm.
Oh, ganun, sir. At least they agree with the process. And once the process is set and the appropriate unit makes the decision, it is the decision of the firm. Decision of the in the democratics
Is there a criteria for a motion for reconsideration to be granted? Like,
we can put like reasonability of the
or
unjust, yes, sir.
unjust, gross stupidity of the computation.
We can put that there. But just fun.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yun, sir, reasonability is one of the main, and of course, yung wisdom, the stupidity or wisdom, if
Uh-huh.
you can cover
Yeah.
the.
Excuse my
Oo.
French.
So anyway, so it's like the committee is the one suggesting, proposing, and if no one questions it, then the decision of the committee will become the decision of the firm.
Mm-hmm.
If someone wants to bring it, he has 15 calendar days to bring it up to the firm, and then for the firm's consideration and decision. But the voting will not be equal because partners are supposed to be given premium. They have 3 votes, and the associate only 1 vote.
What's the ratio between partners and associates? 3:1. So out of the 100,
In the case,
In the
1.24.
1.24, right? Okay. Yeah, the count.
Yeah. So in this particular setup, no one can really question the legitimacy of the decision. But of course, the 3:1 vote is to be decided also by the firm,
Yeah.
and also the other values.
No, but I was saying the ratio between partners. So the majority is the partner, and they have 3 votes
Yes.
already.
We are amenable to suggestions.
Actually, we started with 2:1, but
Ah.
Adrian,
Oh,
you
we
explained
started with 2:1, but I mentioned that the ratio is too close because it's already at 1.24. So we are trying to avoid the scenario wherein the associates will be the one running the clinic because of their voting powers.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. Sorry for law firm. Oh my God. So
That's okay.
so we increased the voting rights of the partners by also recognizing their contributions because they're partners already.
Mhm.
So
But don't you think that's too much? Like 3 times 3? Because I think look, the case mentioned friction, right? Friction between the older and the younger. Do you think that will ease the friction or will it increase the friction? The younger lawyers who they say are brilliant and work harder than the old lawyers or more mature lawyers, that will probably
If I can just add, Prof, I think this took us a while, 2:1, 3:1, but then there is a thought there that the reality is the partners don't really agree amongst themselves anyway. So if they are more cohesive, the 2:1 would have won. But the partners would be divided, and then there will be more associates to bring in, assuming there will be growth. So we don't want a firm that will be dictated by the associates. But again, Prof, we're open to considering. But because we the under and can I use underlying at all?
Yeah.
Is
The thinking is
the partners aren't united. So
are not united.
yes.
we additionally, attorney, we premise the process into having good faith. What I mean by that is we're giving the associates the opportunity to present their arguments to the whole firm, and then um, if if the argument has its merit, then it would be in the perfect world, it will be wise to give merit to that argument, so that 3:1 vote is not really an issue unless there is an abuse of power or being arbitrary in voting.
Okay. Is there another slide after this? Okay. Okay. Okay, let's proceed. This we will run out of time. We have two more teams.
So we just answered the first question.
Okay.
The others, hold on, sorry. The second is what management principles, values, objectives, and or models of human behavior did you use in determining your allocation? Sophie, do you wanna? I can start. But for this, we said that the firm advocacy given the 60% and ethics, if you remember the 60-40. We try to be equitable considering also the dynamics, the 2:1 versus the 3:1 discussion, competence and certain tenure based are added to the factor. If you wanted to add, please feel free. Do you think the partners and lawyers at Brainard are motivated only by money? I'd like Attorney Dodi to take this on.
Yes, very much.
Back to you, Dodi.
Yes. Very much, sir, the classmates, that the lawyers in the firm are motivated highly by money, but as a secondary motivation, only to the principle of the law is not a business, but it
Correct.
is a profession.
Correct. And so, what are the things that you probably could change or include
Sir,
to
traditional,
motivate them?
sir,
To motivate them.
maybe continuing education. They should undergo mandatory continuing education, particularly on legal ethics.
Okay.
Sir, right? That is precisely the intervention of the Supreme Court, and we would like to mirror that also in the firm. Because when lawyers are reminded, they also, at least for a few days or months or weeks, they become ethical if they are constantly reminded. I think that is the
You're
philosophy.
saying that lawyers are not
That could be the conclusion, sir. But they have, because they are human beings and human beings are prone to error. They should be
They're just reminded probably. No, let's
Yes,
just
sir.
say they're reminded of their code of ethics.
We also believe, Prof, in walking the talk. 70-20-10, like modeling. The seniors who has direct interaction with the three original partners should be walking the talk, 70%. And then 20% is the mentoring and 10% just the official training.
Okay. And then the last question.
I'll take that one.
Okay.
The last question.
There are two ways to look at the question. You can, depending on the structure of the company and the size. And since we're restructuring, right, we're growing. So do you want to flash the question? So we're looking at question number 4 as 4 different items: compensation policy,
Personal policy,
and
just three,
strategy.
and strategy.
Yeah, but you can look at it also as 2 items, right? The package plus the strategy. So for us, we're looking at it as 4 different
Okay.
items. So I liken it to a house. One part of the house is each item. So we'd like to believe that strategy is the roof, personnel, and compensation are pillars, and the policy is the foundation, right? But some organizations, or depends how we want to debate, you can put compensation on the floor. People stand on compensation, right? If you're running it like a business. But ideally, for me, it's strategy as the ceiling, that's the roof, policy, the foundation, the floor, and compensation and personnel are pillars. That's how we view it.
Okay.
You can interconnect.
Okay. Good. Nice analogy. Okay.
And just
Yes.
a quick note, Prof, the tables earlier, I'd like to credit Jamie because she researched it. We just tweaked it based on the case, but there's actual firm really following that. So I
Okay.
don't want to plagiarize that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
LT1.
classmates.
Good job. LT2. You have 7 minutes to finish LT2.
Yeah.
And then LT3 said another 7 minutes. So I have 1 minute to close.
Okay, we'll be very quick. To just set the stage, can we go to the next one? So this is our business model. We use the 5 Ps as our guiding principle. So the purpose of the company, the purpose of the firm is to deliver outstanding legal services by providing harmonious place. It's already in the text. The principles would be consultative, integrity, democratic, and egalitarian, but still we recognize the value in differences. So because this has been set out as a problem in the text. The processes would be the compensation committee collects extensive qualitative and quantitative data. So it will be apparent in our computation. And then the people, we recognize that we have different types of people with different types of values.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as we also embrace as an assumption, McGregor's Y theory you were in, employees are self-motivated. So it's not part of the question. And then the last one would be the performance. So the performance will be measured using numerous quantitative statistics related to hours, billing collections, and origination credits, and also qualitative aspects.
So we devised a 4-stage compensation framework to determine compensation for all lawyers equally. So number one, or the first stage would be partner performance input. Second would be assessment process. The third would be the compensation committee review. And number four would be the output. So we can see the different factors that are being weighed in during determination of compensation and bonus pool. So we devised a rubric that would allow all factors to be weighed in. Let me zoom that. For example, we strategized on understanding how the lawyers would be ranked or be scored through client origination, billable hours, teamwork collaboration, pro bono community engagement, in practicing development, and client satisfaction. So each has a score of between 1 to 4, and then has a corresponding score point and rating, which would determine later on how much each lawyer should be paid.
Okay.
So we have a sample computation for 5 different lawyers, and it is scored accordingly to by percentage. Like, for example, client origination is 20%, billable hours is 35%, teamwork collaboration is 20%, pro bono is 5%, practice development is 10%, and client satisfaction is 15%. So first we get the total average score of each lawyer, and then we score them accordingly to the point system. And then the total score and the point system will be multiplied to determine how much equivalent cash. 1 point is equals to 100,000 US dollars. So for example, if Alice gets a score of 85.75, which belongs to the bracket of 3.5 points, then she gets 350,000 US dollars.
I just want to highlight it there, Prof, because the standards that we used will are reflective of our values. So for example, client origination. Originally, we set it at 30%, but we had to lower it because that's part of it's already one of the conflicts in the case. So instead of having 30% client origination, we decided to put it to billable hours. So it will be more reflective of the meritocracy in the firm.
This one,
I would just increase probably client satisfaction more.
increase.
Yeah.
Okay, Prof, we will take note of that. Thank you.
Okay.
So Derek, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, in responsible to the questions that the values and the principles that we take into the consideration is the integrity, meritocracy, data driving, decision making, custom focus, and employee development, value added contributions, and adaptabilities and innovations. Those values will allocate to the bonus pool.
Yeah, and we saw the need to reform partner compensation um, because we wanted to address as mentioned a while ago, the generational and practice area inequities, especially considering the split in culture between should I say, seasoned lawyers and the ones who are bringing in the business. We also saw that this would encourage collaboration more than competition in the firm. And there is a need to align the incentives with the firm-wide sustainability and performance. And the rubrics that we presented a while ago would show the improvement in terms of transparency and the retention of talent. And appeals process.
Okay, for the appeals process, Prof, we didn't actually spell out how it would be done because what's more important for us is that the appeals process be consulted between and among the lawyers. So we opted to lay that down first. So we will send out a memorandum to everyone and form a consultative process, ask recommendations from the lawyers, and open formal submission of proposals, and that we decide based on that. However, what's non-negotiable for us is that there should be motion for reconsideration, but the ground should only be mathematical computation or objective only. However, this is without prejudice to the agreed terms by the firm. We just wanted to put out a quality approve.
Okay, so look, it's good that you have a consultative process, no? In a partnership or entities like cooperatives as well, where each member are considered equal, in a partnership also, it's important to have that consultative approach, no? But sometimes that approach also is very time consuming and lengthy because so you have to be very careful when do you apply this approach and when you apply the approach of it's just the management team or senior managers who make the decision.
After that, Prof, we won't listen to them na.
Okay, moving on to the next
Okay.
question. So we don't think that the partners are solely motivated by money, as their founding principles and culture is bring a harmonious place to work and deliver outstanding legal services. And at the same time, we also validate the competencies of um our lawyers and legacy. Next, for the extrinsic or intrinsic reward. So we have intellectual stimulation challenge, sense of purpose and opportunity to contribute, reputation of the company tied to them, respect for the seasoned lawyers, fairness and transparency in terms of compensation, and of course the culture of the fair.
One example, Prof, is that in the Philippines, for example, the associates are not allowed to train outside because they have heavy workload. So one of our rewards would be to actually ask them to train if they reach like a certain number of hours, billable hours, or if they have after a very heavy workload, we allow them to train abroad or just locally.
Yeah. So in many firms here, one of the uh, rewards that the firms employ is trips, no? So there's a firm trip abroad. So you encourage more collaboration, camaraderie among the lawyers. So that's the most common one. Okay.
Yes. The last question is I think the relationship between the company strategy and the personnel policy. That we think the relationship is the bridge. The companies should be regularly updates the personnel policies and to keep the long-term like the company strategy and the financial drivers. As long as the company is stronger, this bridge to drive the company's performance.
Good.
And lastly, Prof, in relation to number 4, we also identified the challenges based on the case study for us to formulate formal policies and long-term strategies, like, for example, establishing a hybrid system, implementing royalties for senior lawyers. Also, the billable hours versus expertise are translated into multi-tiered hybrid system, premium on lateral hires from other law firms. They should be strategically a policy should be strategic in terms of client satisfaction and peer assessment regarding on that. We have industry standard benchmarks, succession plannings, assessments of culture, if it's still responsive to the status quo needs, establish clear rules or partner internal discussions that need to be transparent. And we also noticed that there are no clear objectives, prioritization, or mission and vision. So there should be a clear mission and vision stated in the bylaws probably of the law firm, and internal rules. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, good job. Thank you. LT3? Unless anybody has questions for LT2.
Just a clarification on LT2
Yeah.
about the decision-making body. Is it correct to reach the conclusion that it is really the committee compensation who has the final say? Anyway, they're elected by the whole firm, right? So that in that way, we have a representation.
Mhm.
Thank you. Just a clarification.
Okay, who's gonna start?
Okay.
LT3.
Yeah. For LT3, well, yeah. We're just very straightforward with our answers. This will take really less than 7 minutes po, Prof.
Okay, good.
So our answer to the first question is how should Richard Kincaid divide the firm's bonus pool? Our quick answer would be hybrid compensation. So as this balances seniority and it implements and puts premium on performance metrics. Also, just to elaborate more, it's there's a fixed bonus first based on seniority, and then there will be an added bonus based on the performance. The next question is how should the compensation committee draft an appeals process? So this is a very simple process lang, but so first we mag-write ng memo submitted to the compensation committee, and then the compensation committee will collate, and then they'll hold a compensation committee hearing, and then only the committee members will attend, and the person appealing will be invited during the hearing, and then
Mhm.
the committee will vote. The it will be the majority wins, and if there's a tie, the chairman will be the one who will have a say on the on who wins. And after this, the minutes of the hearing will be circulated. For my team members, feel free to pitch in. Okay.
So, okay. Um, just another point during the discussions with the team, we said here, it was discussed that there should probably be a general membership meeting among all lawyers for this. However, um, we decided against it because if all will be invited, there might, instead of resolving the conflict, there might be more conflict because everybody has a say. So that is why we decided that instead of a general membership meeting, there will only be a compensation committee hearing.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next question. So, what management principles, values, objectives, and or models of human behavior you use in determining your allocation of the bonus pools? So, well, the hybrid, it's really the equity versus equality principle. This reflects the hybrid compensation that uh, we answered earlier. So, equity means rewarding fairly according to contribution, and not everyone gets the same, but everyone gets what they deserve based on the performance. Another principle is the change management principle. So we want to engage the partners in the change process from traditional system to a more equitable system. Uh, Alex, do you want to elaborate more on this, the change management principle?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Curti.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, okay. So yeah, moving on to the next question. Do you think that the partners and lawyers at Brainer are motivated only by money? So yeah, we all have a consensus that no, not they're not motivated by money, and they just lack on consensus in their values. Uh, and the next question is, what other extrinsic or intrinsic rewards can you think of to motivate them? So we listed a lot. So it's really communication and transparency. Keep the partners informed throughout the compensation review process. solicit feedback through surveys, focus groups, and individual interviews. So for the surveys, we wanted to conduct anonymous surveys on the key issues to surface sentiment without politics, and focus on shared values, reiterate the firm's core values and how the compensation system supports those values, and emphasize on the importance of fairness, equity, and long-term sustainability. Include the voting in the process after getting the consensus, and a team building or retreat. And same with other teams, it's travel incentives to motivate them. The last question. So how are compensation, personal policy, and strategy are related? So uh yeah, our answer is the compensation personal policy should be sustainable or equitable. And for for this answer, Alex, would you want to be the one to?
Back to you,
Which,
Alex.
yeah, we answered some in general because the question is in general. So we we define compensation strategy as how it provides benefits to employees, and largely in firms, this is guided by the firm's overall business strategy. So for to answer to as a strategy, we want to change the culture. And then the personal policy then formalizes the compensation strategy by writing the rules on the bonuses, the promotions, and the salary. That is how we answer the question.
Okay. All right, on the dot. It's 12:30.
So just one point
Yes.
on the appeals process.
Okay.
We were of the impression that an appeal would imply a higher body. That's why we thought of going to the total membership.
Mhm.
Usually the word appeal implies that, unlike a motion for reconsideration, which is brought only to the same body, which in this case is the committee. So that's why we opted to be faithfully with the word appeal.
Appeal.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
So, all right. Look, when we this case is very interesting to me because it deals with a lot of stuff about business organizations and how rewards, no, and benefits motivate them. No? So you have two kinds of um, motivators. You have extrinsic, you have the money, no, the bonuses, and you have intrinsic, which wasn't really talked about in the case. But really, was also what people or the lawyers were looking for, especially the younger ones. No? And intrinsic benefits or psychic income probably um, can be like simple as recognition, being given an important matter, being empowered, no, to pursue or to finish this important matter without a boss looking over their shoulders. So it can be many things. Probably you're all familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And the highest one is self-fulfillment. So anything that is related to self-fulfillment, regardless of profession, 'di ba? It's really the highest form of motivator. So in your own companies, probably you should think two things, no? How do we, of course, um, give them the money, the compensation, the right compensation that would allow them to live their lives comfortably, and also in a way satisfy their need for self-fulfillment. So I'll end with this, and then next we have a class in on Tuesday next week. So we have two cases for next week. One is Troubled Spain and Enron. Um, just I would encourage you to read. I will not assign you the Troubled Spain for. We will discuss this, no, but you will not present. You will present on Enron on Tuesday. So on the first half of the class, we will talk about Troubled Spain, and then about permits as well. And then the second half of the class will work on Enron. 6 to 9:30. Yeah, 6 to 9:30. Haven't you had makeup classes before in the evening? It's 6. It starts at 6 until 9:30 Tuesday.
Thank you for the clarification, sir.
Yes, there's dinner. Okay. All right. So thank you, and then vote wisely. Okay. Thank you.